This short film is to introduce the resources that we've created around the support sequence and the outcome sequence. So first of all, what's the support sequence? It's a way of creatively thinking about different ways to deliver outcomes. And it has a set 7-stage process. We start with supporting the person to think about themselves and their capabilities, then how we might use technology, then whether equipment and adaptations can help, then the contribution of family, friends or neighbours, what's available in the local community, services or settings, and what support might need to be purchased. However, what we've learned is that if you haven't got great, clear outcomes, it's really difficult to use the support sequence. So the outcome sequence is a way of checking and developing outcomes that can really make a difference in people's lives. So the first step is understanding what matters to the person, and that includes who matters to them and where matters to them, which is their community and the places that they want to be part of. And often aspirations are important to consider here as well. Step 2 is looking at what's working and not working right now for the person. Step 3 is what's the change that they want to see in their life. And this could be either changing what's not working or moving towards an aspiration and building on what is working. Then it's making this something that is very specific and measurable so we know what difference it could make in the person's life. And step 5 is checking it. Can we measure it? Do we know where we're starting from? Is it achievable? Does it keep or build on what's working? Does it change what's not working? Does this move us close to the person's positive change that they want to make or their aspiration? Where there's somebody has an assessed need, does the outcome meet it? And is it in everyday language and not expressed from a service perspective? So when we've got clear outcomes like that, we can then use the support sequence. So in a bit more detail, when we think about the first stage, yourself, it's how can we build on the strengths and qualities that the person already has? And what else could we do to improve their knowledge, skills, or confidence if that's relevant to achieving the outcome? Question 2 or step 2 is around technology. Are there apps or technology that can help? So that might be, as I say, apps on your phone or your iPad using Alexa, right through to the technology that people are using every day, which might be around sleep and Fitbits or devices in the home. Number 3 is equipment and adaptations. Are there any products or tools or equipment that could help? Are there any physical changes that could be made to the home or environment that could help achieve the outcomes? Then number 4 is family, friends and neighbours. Is there anything that your family, friends or neighbours could help with if they were willing to help? 5 is what's happening in your local community. Are there places, groups or events happening in your community that could help you achieve your outcomes? Number 6 is services or settings. And when we think about this for young people, it's what could the school or college do to help and what's available in the local offer in the UK. And for adults are there any general health or social services that could help and what's available through universal services. And universal services are the services that are available to all of us. And finally, number 7, for young people, is there additional specialist support that could help? And for adults, could you organise support that could help, which could be through an existing provider, a new provider? Is there anything that existing providers could do or do differently? And can we think about personal budgets here if that's appropriate? So before we get started, it's really important that we spend time with the person understanding what they've tried and learned already and what ideas that do they have about taking this forward and achieving the outcome. And then the support sequence is something that we can do together to come up with creative ideas to test and see which ones might be useful. So we've created a range of resources for both practitioners, people who are using the outcome sequence and the support sequence with young people and adults, and then for team leaders or people who are in a position of supporting practitioners to develop plans and outcomes. So this checklist is something that we hope practitioners would use as they're working with young people or adults as a sort of aid memoir or check to make sure they've gone through each of the process in developing the outcome sequence, and they can check the outcomes against these particular criteria. And critically, as you can see from the bottom, am I confident that I involved the person in decision making as much as I could? And then we have the same kind of checklist for practitioners around using the support sequence, going through each of the steps of the support sequence, and again, checking that we're confident that we involved the person in decision making as much as they could. And then the next two resources are for team leaders. So these are a range of questions for the team leaders to choose from. And they're offered as a resource for them to use with a practitioner if you're looking at a plan together. It's not expected that you'd use all of these questions in order, but it's an opportunity to think together in supervision, or what your equivalent of supervision is, to look at a plan together. So as you can see, there are some general questions there around how the planning process went, and then questions by section around the outcome section and the support sequence, to really have courageous conversations about how it went, what we're learning, what went well, and as ever, how can we keep improving our practice. And this particular checklist is for team leaders when they're actually reviewing plans. So they might not have the person there, they wouldn't have their practitioner there, but if you're just looking at a plan, here's a way that you can look at each of the outcomes in the plan and the solutions that have been put forward to achieve each outcome, and check for yourself what the indications are that the person was involved in decision making as much as possible, but also, are there patterns or themes that you're noticing in outcomes or actions that have been developed by this practitioner that we might want to explore together? So we believe that the outcome sequence is a way for us to make sure we're developing outcomes that are rooted in knowing the person well, what matters to them, and the changes that they want to see in their lives, and a checklist to check that they're written in a way that we know whether we're making progress together or not. The support sequence is a way to creatively look at options in a sequential way, to think about how we can support the person to achieve those options using the outcomes, using what's available to them, their strengths and gifts and capacities, and what's available for technology in the community, friends and family, and then services at the end. And then these checklists are to help practitioners and team leaders reflect on how they're doing.